Hi, everybody. This is John Lane and Will Barfield. We're here today to talk about leadership traits under pressure. This is our new, mostly weekly video cast. Last week, I interviewed myself. That was fun. Today, I'm interviewing Will, my partner. And then in the coming weeks, we're going to bring on special guests from all sorts of industries and functional roles to talk about how they recognize their superpowers and avoid the kryptonite. We've been talking about that. So Will, tell all the folks at home a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, John. Really thrilled to be here doing this. I've been in sales and business development work myself now for 24 years, recruiting industry for 18, and I've owned a small business with my wife, Amy, for the last 6+ years called Barfield Revenue Consulting. She says hello. And we focus on helping our clients hire human beings who drive revenue, sales, marketing, business development, a lot of small, fast-growing companies.
So I would think just in the interviewing and recruiting process, you have your own ways of digging into the so-called superpowers and kryptonite. So this should be interesting for you to be on the other end of the phone, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You want to jump in?
Yeah, man, let's go.
Great. Okay. So just a little homework for everybody. If anybody who's seen some of our LinkedIn posts, you know that Will and I are OAD distributors. That means we get to talk to nice people like you about how OAD can help you and your companies make better business decisions using data about yourselves and your employees. For today, just know that the OAD survey is the foundation for the superpowers and kryptonite. And if anybody ever wants to know more about OAD, they can talk to Will, they can talk to me, and we're happy to put you together. But that's where the data comes from. So you know it's not Will and I making this up in our garage. Okay, so a little bit more homework here. So just so you know, and we're going to show you what it looks like. When someone takes the OAD survey, which takes only 5 to 7 minutes to complete, it's very easy, takes no prep. The data that come out are put across these 7 constructs. So you can see assertiveness, extroversion, patience, and detail orientation, versatility level, emotional control, and creativity. I'm just going to say 2 things about them. One is the English language definition, the words that you think about when you see these constructs are what they mean. And so they're not super scientific. So just understand where they come from. And then the second thing is these are the way that we can begin to define superpowers. So I won't go into anything more, but I'll just come here and say, this is our friend Will. Will is what we call an architect and a developer. And what we mean by that is we look at his pattern and we see that his primary trait is his assertiveness, followed by detail orientation, and his subordinate traits are extroversion and patience. Anyway, that's a lot of homework. That's where this all begins. And so now we're going to get into the good stuff. Okay, Will, we're going to dissect you a little bit here. So be ready. And I know I've done all the talking. We're turning it over to you now. So let's first look at your superpowers. So this is the list. Everyone at home can read them, but in the green room earlier, you said a couple of them really spoke to you. Why don't you talk about them?
Yeah, so from an accuracy standpoint, when we got the results of this, I didn't look at it before I sent it to Amy. I let her look first.
Smart.
And she well trained. She told me that it was the most accurate readout that she'd seen on me of any of the assessments or surveys that I had taken in the past for different things. And then I dove into it, and the things that jumped out at me, given that I'm in business development for a career, self-confidence, drive, right? I got to bring those every day, or I'm not going to be successful in pursuing new business, pursuing talent, and in helping my clients hire.
That's great. You told me when we first met a 3 years ago that the way you set up your business is you bet on yourself, and your pricing model and the way you do biz dev are all based on that. So I suspect that these superpowers are what help you get up as early as I know you get up and get to work in the morning. Cool.
What's interesting too, John, before I forget, I took an assessment years ago when I got hired from my former employer, Frankel Staffing Partners. And
For applause.
that readout actually said that I would struggle with delegation. So I thought it was interesting that that showed up as a superpower. I don't know if that's an evolution in me, or a statement about, the level of accuracy with this tool as compared to others.
Well, as much as work as you give me in our partnership, I'm happy to say that you are quite an effective delegator. Cool. All right.
Well
let's
played.
get to the good stuff, and we're going to dig in a little bit of this more in a second. But kryptonite, folks at home who are watching this, really to us really means all of your construct, your superpowers are what they are. They make up who you are. But under pressure, the flip side can be a negative. And so we lay these out here. Anyone who wants to can read them. We will put a link to Will's ebook when we post this. But some of these, at least one of these, really spoke to you. So Will, talk a bit about that, please.
Yeah, I think it was, the intimidating, unapproachable piece. A real world example, and I'm not necessarily going to reference work, but
Yeah.
I've got 3 daughters. I have 2 of them that are in their 20s and, dating and whatnot, and having friends over. They've told me before that after meeting me,
Mhm.
and they've talked to their friends or boyfriend or interest, that they feel like I'm intense and intimidating. That's a pressure packed situation, right? When you're meeting a beau for the first time. But it's interesting that they say that, and that on occasion, as Amy has heard me on calls when I'm, going through a challenging situation, that's a part of my personality that she tries to help me quell, so that intensity doesn't come out in a way where I'm potentially intimidating the other, or becoming unapproachable or brusque, and getting in my own way of doing business.
I think that's you're fortunate to have them in your lives who will tell you that
Yeah.
After the fact. But you're totally right. If you are intimidating to your prospects and clients, they're going to go to somebody who is less so. So keeping your eye on that, really great. Thank you for that. Just in the interest of time, and also, I think people talking about what they think they're really good at is a bit boring. Let's go and look at some of the notes that you made around your kryptonite. And so I know we covered a bunch of this, and so maybe talk about this first one, and like why did you highlight the rigidness and being certain? I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I will have conversations with either business partners that I'm working with. I outsource recruiting to others and have teammates, and I will often be pretty convinced that I'm being open and that we're having a dialogue, but what I'm really doing is dictating, and I sometimes have to step back from that and make sure that I'm not just so certain that my plan is the best plan or the only plan. That rigidity can also create, as we know, challenges in a business interaction, and it certainly can be kryptonite for me.
Yeah, for sure. That's a super vulnerable answer, and I appreciate you saying that. Let's talk about one more. And I definitely see this in myself sometimes too, but it's much more pronounced in your constructs. Tell me a little bit about what does it feel like when you turn inward and get too myopic? How does it feel to you?
It feels like a safe place.
Interesting.
Right. But that could be just part of the DNA and a coping mechanism when you're dealing with a stressful moment.
Wow.
Is a turning inward and a self-focusing. But when you're doing that, you're also shutting off. You're not receiving outside input. You're not looking at other angles, and you're closing the door, not opening it. So that's why that leapt out at me.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I suspect that you're back to back all day, right, with your meetings. And so as you are seeing one meeting time come to an end and your mind is beginning to drift to a second meeting. I think you've mentioned this to me before. It's like, how do you not leave the one meeting you're in and be mentally in the other one? What's that like?
It is very difficult, and you will lose track of the conversation you're having if you're too busy thinking about the one you're getting ready to have. And
Yeah, I just did
now,
that to you. I was thinking
yeah,
about how we're going to end this.
yeah, and
That's not good.
and now I'm underserving the person that I'm working with, and
Correct.
potentially putting my my client at risk by not doing a full interview on a candidate because I'm so worried about or excited
The
about
next
or
one.
what distracted by the next one.
Love it. Will Barfield, thank you so much for being on with us today. In the coming weeks, we will be tag teaming with some special guests, and you and I will be on one side of the desk, and we'll see who comes on the other. But I want to thank you and everybody who is watching this for joining us today. Have a great day. Will, last word.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.